Hello guys.
Hello guys.
तो स्टार्ट करते हैं। ओह, Oh.
truth. White
Let me show you how you can turn one simple prompt into a stunning presentation in just seconds using AI.
White can already grab the center and put both pawns right there, establishing control over this white territory, and that is the ideal setup that you'd love to achieve in any opening, basically. Now, let's say black goes bishop b7, that also attacks this pawn twice, therefore white needs to defend it, and now black develops somehow. Now, if we look at this position, for example, white can go rook d1, putting the rook opposite to the queen, we can already feel that it is a little bit uncomfortable for black, because what can they really do? Like, if they ever try to open up the center by going c5, this opposition will be unpleasant. If they move the queen away somewhere, white can go bishop g5 and also put a pin right here, threaten pawn e5. If, let's say, they guard this bishop, then white can also bring the other rook into play, and we could achieve something like this early in the middle game. And if you look at the position, we can see that white grabs a lot of space. Their rooks are active along these files. Their bishops are active, controlling a lot of diagonals. White can push the central pawns and begin attacking anytime they want to, while black is actually crawling along the last two ranks mainly, and it's really hard for black to move. If you look at their pieces, like this knight just can't really move. All the squares are taken, right? It can only move backwards, which wouldn't make that much sense anyway. Same thing, this bishop can hardly move and can't do really anything. This knight does not have any active squares to go to. Again, it can only go somewhere to the edge, and it's meaningless anyway. So that is how controlling the center is so advantageous for you, and that is why black should not give up the center. Before we move on to the next one, let me have a quick announcement and invite you to join our team. Actually, they play almost to you. The second common misconception about the Queen's Gambit is that it is not actually a gambit, just the naming is a bit misleading. The fact is, if black accepts this pawn, they cannot really hold on to this pawn, and as we have already seen, white can just play e3 and get this pawn back straight on the next move. There's just no way for black to hold on to this pawn. If they try bishop e6, that's a little awkward. It's going to block this pawn, and therefore the bishop, the queen to some extent, and white can still play knight e3, add the second attack to this pawn, and black is running out of options to defend it. If instead of bishop e6, they try to guard this pawn by the other pawn with pawn to b5, there is a classical Queen's Gambit trap where you play pawn a4, aiming to split up these pawns, and if black happens to do that, you will easily get them back, plus you activate your pieces and get a positional advantage. If instead black tries to still solidify this pawn chain somehow, like it fails badly. If they play pawn a6, then it temporarily guards the pawn, but after this exchange, what they've missed is that this rook on a8 is actually left undefended. You can just grab it and win the game. And if instead black decides to guard this pawn on b5 with the other pawn, with pawn to c6, then after the exchange, there is this really sneaky move, queen to f3, pursuing a very unusual idea to capture the rook in the corner, and black have to give up material to save their rook. They'll have to give up either the rook or the knight or the bishop anyway. They'll have to give up some major material, which will give you a winning position. In the next example, black initially played the correct move, pawn e6, solidifying their center. After this, both sides developed their knights, and now black still gave up the center, the mistake we talked about previously. White plays pawn e3, aiming to get this pawn back, and here black followed up with another common mistake, knight to c6. And it's very interesting to talk about this move, because for many beginner players, it's very unclear why is the move knight to c6 wrong. Because in most of the other openings, it is the right move to play, suggested to play straight from the beginning of the game. So how come it's wrong? Well, let's talk about this. Again, if we played out a couple more moves, let's say both sides just develop, and white decided to occupy the center with going to pawn e4, what can black do next? Let's think about that. They wish to develop this bishop somehow, but if they just develop it right here to d7, it will remain to be passive. If they try b6 followed by bishop b7, even there the bishop will also be locked by this knight from c6. Also, in all of these variations, if I take it back, black would really wish to play pawn to c5 and contest the center, put pressure onto the white center, but this knight stands in the way. And therefore, black has a hard time untangling their queenside pieces to bring the bishop into play, bring the rook into play, making their queen active, undermining the center. So this frisky knight gets in the way of everyone's feet